Good afternoon and welcome to Sports of the Day. That title has kind of not been used in about a year. We're here in Lincoln, Nebraska, Memorial Stadium, home of the Cornhuskers, where they take on the Jayhawks of Kansas. Huskers are number 7 ranked, 9-1. Kansas unranked, 6-3. Coming off of a tough loss at home against the Kansas State Wildcats, going to one of the toughest places in the continental United States and abroad to play college football. That's right, the home of the Cornhuskers. Nebraska fans, they love their football, and they show up in droves to their games. 2002 for Nebraska was actually one of the starts of their kind of downfall from where they had been in the 80s and 90s and 70s and 60s. They had had about 40 years of total dominance, but 2002 broke a lot of streaks for Nebraska. I believe 2002 was one of the first years in Nebraska history where they didn't legitimately compete, at least, for a Big 12 title. They went 7-7 in 2002. I believe their 4th or 5th year under Frank Solich. He got fired shortly after that year for a 7-7 season. Can you believe that? 7-7. And I can understand that after several 10-win seasons. But Nebraska at this point was just not able to fathom kind of falling down in terms of football, and it's taken them a while to get back up to prominence. And the kind of landscape of football has changed a lot around Nebraska. Now this team has a great defense, and they were able to just get sacks upon sacks upon sacks on KU's quarterback. So I've started a counter. That'll be there at the bottom left part of your screen whenever we do get sacked. We check out that sick juke right there on the linebacker, number 43, to get the first down there. I had such a hard time pitching the ball. For whatever reason, that's actually probably been my biggest weakness in the past couple of weeks in this game, has been pitching the ball and just getting rid of it, which has led to a number of failed option plays. We got a dropped pass there on second down, and it's a 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. So we're keeping it close, I guess, for what that's worth. They haven't scored on us quite yet. But this is a dangerous team. This is a triple option team that really, really knows how to run the triple option and do it well. That's what Nebraska was always good at. That's always what Nebraska did, and back in the 90s and especially into the early 2000s. Everybody remembers Eric Crouch, the old Nebraska quarterback, one of the best players ever to run the option, alongside, Tommy Armstrong, Turner Gill. A number of great players in Nebraska's history ran the triple option, and this team is no different, except different players. It was a younger team in 2002, but 2003 or so, they had kind of started a downward trend for Nebraska. This was really the season where things kind of started to change for the Huskers in terms of their fortune. They went from being a national power to just being, kind of a conference power, to really not being that much of a power at all. They would compete in the Big 12 again, but never to the extent that they used to. I think they made the championship game in 2006, and they scored a touchdown there, by the way. This is a very good Nebraska team, so you can expect, we were doing a good job on defense, but you can expect them to score quite a bit here. Here, sack number 3. Again, it's always because all of these sacks pretty much could have been avoided if I had just chosen to throw the ball away, and I just chose not to in a lot of these cases, which is a mistake. I should figure out how to do that. Now, look here at how I made this cornerback bite with the pump fake. He was trying to jump the route and just got totally schooled there. We get the first down on that play. We go to the speed option out of the I formation, or out of the ace formation rather. We get the first down there. Trying to go to the air and get sacked again. And when you get a sack like that, where you go back about 10 yards, also I drop back way too far when I'm playing this game, it really does a lot to kind of stall your drive. You need a big play to even get back into the possibility of getting a first down. When that doesn't happen, then you just you end up really stalling your drive and going nowhere with it. So we give Nebraska about 30 seconds to really just make something happen, get another score before halftime. The Jayhawks will get the ball after half. And with 22 seconds, after a pretty decent punt coverage there, 22 seconds left for the Huskers, they had to go to a passing offense, but they were so good with the pass for most of the game that it actually, I associate them as a run team, but their pass game was just so strong the whole game that it wasn't even, a contest. really on defense. That was what killed us. Not so much the run game because we were prepared for it, but the pass game. They were just dominant with their quarterback, who really isn't that great of a passer. So 0-10, we were shut out in the entire first half. Never a great way to start your game. We do get a good pitch and a good option here, so we get a first down there. And that's really the key to running the option, is actually letting go of the ball sometimes. I try to do too much with my very, very slow quarterback in situations like this. And that was just a late pitch. I tried to get it to the running back. It went to a lineman instead, and you know what, he fell on it, so that's better than losing it at the very least. At this point, the points were really coming at a premium against this Nebraska defense. This was really the only time that the coverage, like the blocking, actually failed to create a sack. That guy got around the outside, the pocket kind of collapsed, and there was nowhere really to go. Great pass and catch here. That's exactly how you want a play like that to work. So it's not like we don't have any hope for the future. In fact, quite the opposite. I think there is a decent possibility that we could come back in this game midway through the third quarter. We just got to get a touchdown. We don't get it there, and so we have to go to the field goal, and the field goal is good, so now it's only a 7-point game. You really would have rather had a touchdown there. You can't get into the red zone and not score touchdowns, because this, again, points are coming at a premium here. This is an excellent Nebraska defense. Nebraska always has had excellent defense outside of the Bill Callahan years, which were really just a dismal time for Nebraska athletics. This was about also the time for Nebraska when some of their streaks started falling apart. As I mentioned earlier, they had a bunch of 10-win seasons, and 2002 was the first year that I think they won fewer than 10 games in a season, which is crazy to think now. Anybody could have that many 10-win seasons in a row. They had like something like 9 or 10 dating back to the early 90s. They miss an extra point there. That actually happened with the University of Texas against Cal this weekend. Lost him the game effectively, missing an extra point. There's a decent pitch there, and we do get the first down, so that's one of the benefits of pitching. But with Nebraska, once the 2000s started to hit, they had a number of streaks against... they dominated the Big Eight. When it was the Big Eight, they were the most dominant team in the Big Eight. There were years where only really 3 schools, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Colorado, could even compete with them and actually get wins over them. So it's 16-3 at the end of the third, so we actually have to kind of get into kind of a more hurry-up style of offense. That's not a great way to do that, though, is fumbling in the backfield and losing 15 yards. Anyway, by 2002, I believe 2002 was the first year that Missouri beat them. K-State beat them all the way back in 1998 for the first time, and this was probably since the 60s or 70s in most of these cases. Big interception there by number 39, the strong safety, probably our defensive MVP for the season so far. He has just been excellent. He's been all over the field, so probably the best player on the defense at the moment. Outside of the other safety, free safety number 12, we have a very good safety core and a pretty decent secondary all around with our cornerbacks as well. But anyway, Mizzou finally beat Nebraska in 2002. K-State had beaten them as far back as 98. I believe Iowa State broke a streak against them at some point in this era as well. That was probably 2002. Kansas finally broke its long-running streak against Nebraska in 2005 with a big. The score was like 40-15. I was at that game. That was a really fun game to be at because it was like a weight getting lifted off your shoulders. That was a bad pass in the end zone on 4th down. Nothing really came of that. So that was really the last chance that the Jayhawks had to make a comeback here. They would just run out the clock, the Huskers would, and really, that's when a power running game really helps, is when you have to run out the clock. I don't know if you saw that graphic. 10 rushes, 8.8 yards per carry. That is inhumanly good. That's the type of number that makes a defensive coordinator really try to kind of reconsider the way he's running his defense. So 16-3, very, very tough. We didn't score a touchdown this whole game. That's one of the things we have to change. Nebraska's a great team in this game, so I'm not that surprised that we lost, but still unfortunate. So one of the goals for next year, I guess, is just going to have to be beat the teams that we didn't beat this year. So K-State, Colorado, Nebraska. We'll see how that goes. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you again next time.